Welcome back, Wackadoo Racing Channel. This is going to be episode 30. This is going to be an exciting one. This week is going to be our prep week for dyno. We do have a dyno appointment for next Saturday, which is a week from tomorrow, to go get Project Blitz onto the dyno and figure out what she can make and what we can break.
For those of you that are new to the channel, we got a lot of new followers these last 2 weeks. If you're new, welcome to Project Blitz. Wackadoo Racing's 1972 Opel Gt has a BP 1.8 swap out of a Miata, and it is boosted. It is currently running NA. We've been doing a lot of testing and driving on this thing now that it's running and it's fully functional, but we have a lot of stuff that still needs to get buttoned up so we can actually put the boost where it needs to go and get this thing on the dyno. So that's this week, but what it's leading into is getting to work on that. Wackadoo Racing's 1968 Triumph GT6. The big Cars and Coffee out here is opening back up in about 3.5 weeks. And there's no way I'm going to be able to roll to Cars and Coffee with this thing alone. We need to get that thing back on the street, get it to where it's happy, so both of us can show up and represent Wackadoo in style. I was on a roll.
First things first, let's look at the board and see what we actually got to get done this week so that we're prepared for the dyno. So Cody, what are we actually looking at?
So passenger seat, obviously the driver's seat's in. Passenger seat's getting delivered tomorrow. That'll get installed quick and painless. Wideband, we already have it in hand. It's an Innovate, very simple digital wideband. That'll get installed. Injectors we're installing tonight, have those in hand as well. Clamp check, charge pipe, it's pretty self-explanatory. You go through all of our charge pipe, which is not connected, connect it, make sure everything's tight. Wire tuck, that's already done on the passenger side. Everything's put where it needs to be. Mount the key and the start button. We do have a key and start button right now. They're just kind of dangling. We'll get those hard mounted. Again, not an issue. Trans tunnel, big wide open hole. We're going to get a cover plate made for that. And the computer work and the boost controller kind of go hand in hand as we start to get the Mega Squirt tuned in, at least dialed in to get it started so we can take it to dyno. And then last but definitely not least, we got to put hands on every piece of hardware that we've installed on this car to make sure that nothing rattles loose while we're trying to get this thing dynoed out. So pretty simple little list. Most of the parts we already have, and some of the stuff we're already working on. Look at these. So stock, the Miata comes with 240cc injectors. What we ended up going with for this, Injector Dynamics 1050s. Much larger and much more of a duty cycle than what we're capable of now, but the one thing we do know is we'll never run out of juice. We'll never be able to make those things max out. So with the boost and application, one thing you can do is run out of fuel capacity. We're not doing that here. Let's get them installed.
We're going to go ahead and throw it in a time lapse so we can go ahead and get to work. Go ahead and start slamming these injectors in. Like I said, they're massively overkill, but the good news is it's better to be overkill than be running out of injector duty cycle while we're on the dyno. So time to go ahead and get them installed and then start playing with the Mega Squirt and let it know that we've made a change. Cody was able to get these beautiful Injector Dynamics injectors onto the fuel rail. However, what we were not anticipating was having to swap out the connectors for all of the actual injectors themselves. Now, it's relatively common to have to swap out those anyways, whether you're switching between a high impedance and a low impedance injector, or a first gen or a second gen. That's pretty normal. Switching to these oversized guys, not a big deal. The only thing that we didn't anticipate is I'd no longer have misplaced, lost, or loaned out my Molex pinner. So we're having to do it the poor boy way, which is putting all of those tines on one at a time. It takes a really long time compared to having the right tool and just going and it being done. So it's gonna take a little bit longer. We're gonna do it the poor boy way. It'll get it done tonight. Hopefully we'll be able to put everything back this evening and call it a day. If there was somewhere where we can get the connector at 10 o'clock at night on a Friday, I'd have done it. But this is gonna have to work for now. We ran out of time last night, but we did manage to get the injectors all swapped out. Now we're playing with the Mega Squirt to try and get it all figured out and trying to get the injectors happy. Obviously it's running, and we do have all of our piping hooked back up, so we are technically running boost, but it kind of runs like crap. So we're gonna make some adjustments and see if we can't get it running a little bit more cleanly. All right, guys.
we're able to go into our Mega Squirt and upscale our fuel enrichment table by a long shot to let it know that we're running these massive 1050 injectors. So it's running quite a bit better, and it seems to be all right. However, there's still a lot of adjustment that needs to be made, and we're going to leave most of that up to the dyno tuner, just because we don't really know what we're doing. That's just being honest. However, we did get the e.30 wideband installed, and it seems to be registering data just fine to the Mega Squirt. So at least we got those two off the list. Cody's currently installing an electronic boost controller, and that's going to be wired in as well. That way we can know that all the stuff that's supposed to be computer side is already done, and leave the rest up to the dyno guy. However, there's a lot of mechanical work that still needs to be done, like putting in seats and so forth, that we can do now. But he's going to knock out that last bit, and we can move forward.
Monday night back in the garage where we left off, we had this thing all plugged in and running on boost. We're going to try to button up a couple of the items inside with some of the wiring reroutes. Trans tunnel is going to get a plate to cover. We have to mount key and button, and then we have, can't see it, but there's a seat coming in tomorrow. I have a boost controller also coming in, our boost gauge coming in tomorrow as well. And then we just got to do a once over on the rest of the car and make sure that everything is still tight and everything is where it needs to be, so that Saturday goes off without a hitch. So stay tuned, we'll give you updates along the way. Back at it again Wednesday night. So we have a passenger seat that just showed up. So what we got to do tonight is pull the passenger seat from the Opel out, get that guy put in. We're also going to work on getting some of this last little bit, get the Mega Squirt shoved back up under there, get that into the heater box, the old heater box. I made a trans tunnel cover plate last time we were here, but we're going to modify it a little bit. So I'm probably going to pull that out, trace it, cut a new one, and I think we're actually going to do some bead rolling on that. And then we're going to make a plate to mount the actual key and the push button start. And then just to give you guys a little update, so the list has been updated now. We've actually been getting a lot done. Now we can cross the seat off the list. So tonight we'll be doing that. We'll be mounting this, and then if we have time, it's time to put all hands on all hardware that we've installed. Make sure everything is nice and tight and not going to move anywhere at D. Give them a little sneak peek. What you got?
No.
No?
No.
No teases for you.
Alright, that's it for Wednesday night. He did try to put in this other seat, but unfortunately that one's an inch wider. He was trying to make it a little more comfortable for the passengers since they don't need the extra bolstering, they're not steering. But unfortunately, the extra inch is too wide. He's barely getting away with it, so he's going to have to go with the 17s on this side too. Now we did get a little trans tunnel cover so the tech's not putting their arm directly on the transmission and looking at the ground. And we mounted up the ignition switch and a start button so that everything's a little more tidy. We're going to work on that wiring a little bit and try and get that ECU up off the floor pan. But I mean, that's pretty much it for tonight.
Yep, gives us a chance to take the rest of our time this week and just go nose to tail, check all the nuts and bolts, make sure everything's nice and tight before we take this thing to the tech on Saturday. Because that's, I mean, obviously we don't want stuff falling off on the dyno. So,
all right, guys, Friday night, we're going over the last of everything. So, last couple things that we ended up doing, we didn't realize that we had forgotten to put in other spark plugs with a tighter gap that are less prone to being blown out under boost. So we went ahead and swapped out the plugs, went ahead and did a couple other various tiny things, mostly just clamping things down, like putting zip ties on all of our airlines and stuff, just as an extra insurance policy, because I don't want that stuff to be the small complication that ends up with us being dead in the water on the dyno. So that's pretty much the whole plan for tonight. The next time we see you guys, we're going to be loading up and headed to the dyno in the morning. 7 a.m. Get this thing on the trailer. You're down to the dyno. So after a couple of small complications, we were able to get the car loaded up, and she is going to the dyno.
All right, we're pulling up. We're gonna go ahead and get her unloaded. Hopefully, get her right on the rollers. All right, found us a spot where the roll off is nice and straight, too tough. Go ahead and get her unloaded.
2 hours later.
So while trying to unload the car to actually put her on the dyno, it won't start. And I'm gonna have the dyno tech out here trying to figure out why. Because something is wrong. All of our sensors have gone into a fit. What do you think, Cody?
Yeah.
So right there you see Cody's car, and he is currently putting on new grounds on the engine because somehow between last night and this morning, now the grounds aren't registering good signal to the ECU. So they've got him up on the rack in front of the dyno, and he's installing new grounds. So hopefully we'll get that sorted out in a minute. All right, so they were able to figure it out. There's actually something wrong with the Mega Squirt. The ECU itself took a crap. So they got it up on the rollers, they swapped it out, it's running again. So gonna collect our thoughts, get everything squared away, and then we're gonna go ahead and start doing some testing. This is the first time that you actually see the car make motion on the rollers, and he immediately calls over Cody and makes sure that the fans are on and the car is all the way out of its idle enrichment and that it's actually up to operating temperature before adjusting any of the tune. And as he starts to roll into it and start seeing what it's doing, we're getting really conflicting information from the wideband because it's obviously blowing this huge cloud of black smoke with all the extra fuel, and the wideband is reading that it's incredibly and dangerously lean. So he's obviously trying to figure out what's going on there. He goes ahead and leans into it just a little bit and makes a tiny baby pull just to see what it does and make sure everything's good before backing off of it. And then it makes the horrible sound of the dyno coming to a stop. The second pull was equally short to the first, and this third pull you actually see him start to roll into it a bit more, and he immediately drops it at like 4,000 RPM because it ends up overboosting very quickly. We made probably 15 pounds at 4,000 RPM, so he cuts it pretty quick here. This is the first time that he actually gets up into power, up into the RPM range, and actually is putting that boost to work. You'll notice a big plume of black smoke because he's still running very rich. He hasn't overleaned or anything like that. And we finally have the wastegate preload set up so that we're actually boosting in the appropriate range. So this is the first time we actually hear it get through some RPM and start making power. And immediately when he cuts throttle, we start hearing this horrible clattering sound. And unfortunately, that's where I stopped recording because I started paying attention to what was happening instead. Motor's ate itself. That's it. That's the whole thing. Now we load it up and go figure it out.
Alright guys, well, as you can see behind me, there is no Opel in the garage, so here's what happened.
I'm going to try and make this as short as possible, so try and keep up. The motor ate itself. That's the reason the car's not in here. Obviously the garage is open. Now, we don't know how much damage we did, but we do know that that motor is going to have to come back out no matter what. So, with that in mind, the reason we picked the motor that we picked is because of its replaceability factor. Within 48 hours, Cody's already purchased another motor, sourced one, and we get to pick it up this weekend. So yeah, we're going to slam another long block into it, be able to go back to the dyno, hit it again, find out what it makes, take the other motor, probably rebuild it, maybe a little spicier. We don't know, that's for later. Main thing is, we're gonna slam another motor in, we're gonna try again. That being said, everything that happened at AED Performance was absolutely fantastic. Those guys are amazing, and they're gonna be the only ones that Cody trusts to touch the car.
Yep, 100%.
They did a great job. They put up with our crap all day. We were plagued by gremlins since the very beginning. We'll get back to that in a moment. With that in mind, we're going to be taking a little bit of a break from Project Blitz, probably something to the tune of a couple of weeks, so we can work on some other projects that have been already stacking up, because for the last 90 days, we've been slamming on Project Blitz. It's time for a little bit of a break before we hit it again, take another stab at it. All that being said, Friday night, we swapped out the spark plugs, put in something a little bit more fresh, a little tighter gap.
A little bigger.
Car started just fine, not a problem. Next morning, car started, no problem. Go to throw it on the trailer, won't start. Get it to the dyno, fight with it for 2 hours in the parking lot.
It won't start.
End up, they come out, hook up a laptop, the car's lost its mind, all the sensors are going berserk. End up having to swap the freaking ECU because the ECU decided to just take crap. Turns out, evidently it's a pretty big thing where Mega Squirt is having a problem with quality control because they bumped up production massively due to COVID. So, as a result, we ended up with one of the ones that was bunk. Most of them are bunk straight out of the box. Ours happened to just kill itself as it went on the trailer the morning of dyno because that's our luck.
That's our luck.
As it was, the reason we were able to figure that out quickly and effectively is because the guys at AED helped us figure it out.
Absolutely.
Then we throw it on the rack. Go to make a test hit. And sure enough, now we can't calibrate the wideband because that's also our luck.
Our luck.
So, get that solved. Get everything figured out. Now we're several hours deep into the day. They're busy. I didn't grab a whole lot of footage because they're running a business. Me setting up my camera in the middle of everything and shoving the camera in everybody's face while they're trying to do a job is a little bit obnoxious. So I didn't get a whole lot of footage. Made a couple of hits. First couple hits were great. However, we were making way too much boost. So by the time we start backing the boost off so that we're not making 15 PSI at 4,000 RPM, we finally get it a little bit manageable, and on the fourth hit, where it finally started to actually see some RPM, get a little bit less fuel in it, and a manageable amount of boost,
It ate itself.
it ate something. We don't know what. They were nice enough to go ahead and take some stuff off and drop a camera down the spark plug holes, and it looks like something went through 3 of the cylinders. We don't know what. We'll find out later.
Yeah, things.
Things, multiple with an S. So, not a lot we can do about that, but we promised you transparency from the very beginning when we started the channel that when we fail or succeed, you'll see that. We failed this time. We broke the car. It's a minor setback, but if you're going to play this game, these things do happen. So, we're going to sidestep, drop another motor in, try it again. Please, if you have any more questions, want specific details, hit us up in the comments and we'll give you everything then, but we know that you guys don't want to sit through us just jabbering about how we broke the car.
Yeah.
So, let us know what you guys want to know more about, and we'll cover that in the next video. But for now, back it out.